The space station called Horizon's Edge floated in the darkness between two galaxies. It was old, it was big, and it was home to over 3,000 aliens from different worlds. They worked together, ate together, and lived together in peace. The Galactic Union had built this station 200 years ago as a place where all species could meet and trade. Commander stood near the main window of his office. He was a species that looked like tall, thin creatures with blue skin and 4 eyes. His people were known for being calm and careful. They never rushed into anything. They always made plans. They always followed rules. Today was not calm. Today the humans were coming. He looked at in his 3-fingered hand. The message was clear. 2 human engineers would arrive on the station today. They were sent by the Galactic Union to help fix some old machines. The Union said humans were very good at fixing things. Had never met a human before, but he had heard stories. Every species in the galaxy had heard stories about humans. They came from a planet called Earth. The aliens called it a. On most planets, life was gentle. The weather was calm. The animals were peaceful. The plants did not try to kill you. But Earth was different. Earth had storms that could destroy cities. It had mountains that breathed fire. It had oceans that could swallow ships. And the animals there were designed to kill. Yet humans survived. They did not just survive. They became the top predators on their planet. They hunted the hunters. They tamed the wild beasts. They built cities in the most dangerous places. They were strong, fast, and they healed from injuries that would kill most other species. But the most dangerous thing about humans was not their bodies. It was their minds. Humans did not think like other species. They did not run from danger. They ran toward it. They did things that made no sense. They took risks that seemed insane, and somehow they usually survived. Put down and walked to his desk. He pressed a button and a hologram appeared. It showed the face of his assistant, a small furry creature named Pix. Commander, Pix asked. Call a meeting, said. All department heads. Conference room 3, now. Yes, Commander. 20 minutes later, the conference room was full. 12 aliens sat around a large round table. They were all different shapes and sizes. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had no faces at all. But they all had one thing in common. They all looked nervous. Stood at the head of the table. You all know why we are here, he said. The humans arrive in 6 hours. A creature with 8 legs spoke first. His name was, and he was the head of security. Commander, is this wise? Humans are unpredictable. They could be dangerous. The Union has ordered, it said. We have no choice. Our reactor systems are failing. Our own engineers cannot fix them. The humans can. But at what cost? Asked a floating jellyfish-like being named. She was in charge of medical. I have read the reports. Humans break bones and continue working. They lose blood and refuse to rest. They ignore pain. How can we work with creatures like that? Raised his hand for silence. I understand your concerns. That is why I have prepared this. He pressed a button and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed a small book. The title read, Human Safety Manual, a Guide for Non-Species. I have studied human behavior for the past 3 months, said. I have collected data from every station, ship, and colony that has worked with humans. I have identified patterns. I have created rules. If we follow these rules, we can survive. He opened the manual and began to read. Rule 1. Never challenge a human to a physical competition. You will lose. The aliens nodded. This made sense. Rule 2. Never tell a human that something is impossible. They will prove you wrong. More nodding. Rule 3. Never leave a human alone with broken equipment. They will fix it, but they will also improve it in ways you did not ask for. Made a sound like a laugh. That does not sound so bad. Rule 4 continued. Never give a human caffeine after sunset. They will not sleep. They will start projects. Chaos will follow. His tentacles curled with worry. These rules are strange. Yes, agreed. But there is one rule that is more important than all the others. One rule that you must never forget. One rule that could save your life. He paused for effect. The room was silent. Rule 5. If a human ever says the words "watch this," you must evacuate immediately. Do not ask questions. Do not wait. Run. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. I do not understand, said a rock-like creature named. He was the head of construction. Why would those words be dangerous? Pulled up another hologram. It showed a video from a human ship. In the video, a human was standing near a broken engine. Other humans stood behind him. The human near the engine smiled and said, "Watch this." Then he did something with the wires. The engine exploded. The human flew across the room. The other humans laughed. The aliens in the conference room did not laugh. They stared in horror. The human survived, said quietly. He broke 4 bones. He was back at work the next day. That is insane, whispered. Yes, agreed. That is why we must be careful. Humans do not mean to cause harm. They are actually quite friendly. But their idea of safety is very different from ours. When a human says, "Watch this," they are about to do something that no other species would ever attempt. Something dangerous, something foolish, something that might work or might destroy everything around them. He closed the hologram and looked at his crew. The humans arriving today are named and they are experienced engineers. They come highly recommended, but they are still human. They still come from Earth. They still think like. Handed out copies of the safety manual to everyone. Read this, memorize it, share it with your teams. We will survive this assignment. We will get our reactor fixed, and we will do it without anyone dying. The meeting ended. The aliens walked out slowly, each holding their copy of the manual. They had 6 hours to prepare, 6 hours to learn the rules, 6 hours before the humans arrived. Commander returned to his office. He looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, a small ship was flying toward them. On that ship were 2 humans. He hoped they would not say, "Watch this." But deep in his heart, he knew they would. The human ship was small and ugly. It was covered in scratches and burn marks. One of the wings had a large dent in it. The paint was chipped and faded. It looked like it had been through a war. Commander watched it land in the docking bay. He stood behind a safety line with and beside him. Around them, 30 station workers watched nervously. They all had their safety manuals tucked into their pockets. The ship's door opened with a hiss. Smoke came out. Something inside the ship was making a strange buzzing noise. Then the humans appeared. The first one was a male. He was shorter than expected. Humans were supposed to be tall, but this one was average height with messy black hair and a wide smile. He wore a jumpsuit covered in oil stains. There was a burn mark on his left sleeve. He carried a large bag that clinked with metal tools. "Hello," he shouted, waving with his free hand. "I am nice to meet you." Behind him came the female. She was taller than the male, with long dark hair tied back in a knot. Her face was calm and focused. She also wore a jumpsuit, but hers was cleaner. She carried a small box. "I am," she said. Her voice was quieter than the male's. "We are here to fix your reactor." Stepped forward carefully. He had practiced this greeting many times. "Welcome to Horizon's Edge. I am Commander. We are grateful for your help." Walked right up to and stuck out his hand, stared at it. He had read about this. It was called a handshake. Humans did it as a greeting. He carefully took his hand with his 3 fingers. Shook his hand vigorously. Felt like his arm might fall off. "Great station you have here," said, looking around. "Very clean, very organized. I like it." "Thank you," managed to say. Nodded politely at and, "Is someone going to show us to the reactor?" "Yes," said, "we'll take you. He is our head of construction." Stepped forward. He was made of something that looked like orange rock. He had no face, just 2 glowing spots where eyes might be. He was twice as tall as the humans and 5 times as heavy. Looked up at him and grinned. "Wow, you are big. What are you made of? Some kind of silicon-based mineral. That is amazing." Made a grinding sound. It took a moment to realize he was surprised. No one had ever called him amazing before. "Follow me," said. The group walked through the station, came along wanting to watch the humans carefully. He noticed that touched everything. He ran his fingers along the walls. He stopped to look at control panels. He asked questions constantly. "What is this wire for? How old is this pipe? Is that a plasma converter? Who designed this system? Why is that light blinking?" Followed quietly, taking notes on her. She seemed to be the calm one. Hoped she would keep under control. They reached the reactor room after 30 minutes of walking. The door was large and thick. Warning signs covered it in 12 different languages. The message was clear: danger inside. Opened the door. Hot air rushed out. The reactor room was huge. In the center stood the main reactor core, a massive cylinder of metal and glass that reached from floor to ceiling. It glowed with a soft blue light, but the glow was uneven. It flickered, and there was a high-pitched whine coming from somewhere inside. "There," said, pointing, "that is the problem." Walked into the room without hesitation. He walked right up to the reactor and put his hand on it. Called out, "Gloves." "It is fine," said. "It is only a little warm." Checked the surface temperature of the reactor was over 100 degrees. A little warm. Humans were truly insane. Walked in more carefully. She pulled out a device and began scanning the reactor. "The cooling system is failing," she said after a moment. 3 of the main coolant pipes are blocked. The pressure is building." "How bad is it?" asked. Looked at her readings. Her face did not change, but her voice became slightly. "If we do not fix it in the next 72 hours, the reactor will overheat. It will explode. The explosion will destroy the station." Silence filled the room. Felt his 4 hearts beating faster. 3,000 lives were depending on these 2 humans. "Can you fix it?" he asked. Was already climbing on top of the reactor. He had found a maintenance hatch and was trying to open it. "Yes," he called down. "Probably, maybe, we will see." Those were not the confident words wanted to hear. Over the next 3 days, the humans worked without rest. Assigned a team of station engineers to help them, but the aliens mostly just watched. They could not keep up with the humans. And worked for 18 hours straight. Then they slept for 4 hours. Then they worked again. They ate food that came from packets. They drank something called coffee that smelled terrible but seemed to give them energy. They talked constantly, using words that the translator could not understand. "Hand me the flux capacitor." "The what?" "The thing that looks like a bent spoon." "That is not what it is called." "It is now." On the second day, something went wrong. Was inside one of the coolant pipes trying to clear the blockage. Was outside monitoring the pressure. Suddenly, alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed everywhere. "What happened?" shouted, running into the reactor room. Looked at his face serious for the first time. "The main coolant valve just failed. The pressure is rising 3 times faster now. We do not have 72 hours anymore." "How long do we have?" Did a quick calculation. 6 hours, maybe less. Felt cold. That is not enough time to evacuate the station. "I know." Climbed out of the pipe. Her jumpsuit was covered in a green liquid that smelled like burning plastic. She looked at. "The blockage is too deep. I cannot reach it from inside. We need to open the reactor." "If we open the reactor, we expose the core," said. "I know." "The radiation will kill anyone who goes near it." "I know." They stared at each other. Some silent communication passed between them, then smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just had a crazy idea. "I think I know a way," he said. Raised an eyebrow. A way that will not kill us. Probably not. Probably 60% chance of survival, maybe 70. Stepped forward, what are you planning? Turned to him. His eyes were bright with something that looked like excitement. Commander, you should probably evacuate everyone from this section of the station. Why? Because I am about to do something very stupid. Sighed, he means he has an idea. A good idea. We will find out. Walked to his bag of tools and started pulling things out. He grabbed a welding torch, a fire extinguisher, some cables, and a metal pipe. He also grabbed a roll of tape. What is the tape for? Asked. I do not know yet, said, but tape always helps. Watched as the human gathered his supplies. He had a bad feeling about this, a very bad feeling. He said quietly, should I be worried? Looked at, then back at. Her face was unreadable. Commander and I have been partners for 5 years. We have fixed reactors on 17 stations. We have survived 3 engine explosions, 2 hull breaches, and 1 encounter with a space predator. That is impressive, admitted. When gets that look in his eyes, continued, it means he has found a solution. It will be dangerous. It will be unconventional. It will probably violate several safety regulations, but it will work. You trust him? Smiled slightly, with my life. Finished gathering his supplies. He stood up, the welding torch in one hand and the fire extinguisher in the other. He looked like a warrior preparing for battle, a very strange warrior. Okay, he said, I am ready. He turned to look at. His smile was back, wide and confident. Watch this. The words hung in the air like poison. Watch this. Commander felt all 4 of his hearts stop at the same time. His blue skin turned pale. His 4 eyes went wide. Those were the words, the forbidden words, the words his safety manual had warned him about. For a moment, nobody moved. The reactor room was silent except for the whining of the damaged machinery. Stood there with his tools, still smiling. He did not understand what he had done. Then screamed. The security chief's 8 legs moved faster than had ever seen. He ran for the door, pushing past everyone in his way. Evacuate, he shouted. Everyone evacuate. The panic spread like fire. The alien engineers dropped their tools and ran. The medical officer grabbed her emergency kit and flew toward the exit. Despite his massive size, moved with surprising speed. Even the smallest workers, the ones who usually stayed calm in any crisis, were running. Alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed on every wall. A computer voice spoke in 12 languages. Evacuation protocol activated. All personnel report to escape pods. This is not a drill. Stayed frozen in place. He watched his crew run past him. He watched them disappear through the door. He knew he should run too. The manual was clear. When a human says, watch this, you evacuate. You do not ask questions. You do not wait. But something kept him there. Maybe it was duty. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe he just wanted to see what would happen. Looked around at the chaos with genuine confusion. What is happening? Why is everyone running? Sighed, she put a hand on her forehead. You said the words. What words? Watch this. Blinked so. They have a manual, Rule 5. If a human says watch this, evacuate immediately. Stared at her for a long moment. Then he burst out laughing. It was a loud, full laugh that echoed through the reactor room. He laughed so hard that tears formed in his eyes. That is amazing, he gasped between laughs. They made a rule about it. They actually made a rule. Found his voice. It is not funny. Those words have been connected to 17 major accidents across the galaxy, 3 station destructions, 2 ship explosions, 1 moon was cracked in half. Stopped laughing, a moon. Yes, a human said watch this, and then tried to prove he could destroy an asteroid with a modified mining laser. He missed. Okay, admitted, that is a little funny. The moon was inhabited. Smile faded. Oh, that is not funny at all, were people hurt. Everyone was evacuated in time, because of the rule. Nodded slowly. He looked at the reactor, then back at. His face was serious now. Commander, I understand your concern, I really do. Humans have a reputation. We do dangerous things. We take risks that other species would never take, but sometimes those risks are necessary. He gestured at the reactor. This machine is going to explode in less than 6 hours. When it does, it will kill everyone on this station. 3,000 people, innocent people, families, children. Felt a chill run down his spine. He had been trying not to think about that. I can fix this, continued. I have a plan. Is it dangerous? Yes. Is it unconventional? Very much. Will it violate approximately 37 safety regulations? Probably more, but it will work. How can you be so sure? Smiled again, but this time it was a gentle smile. Because I have done things like this before. Because I grew up on a planet that tried to kill me every single day. Because humans do not give up. We fight. We survive. That is what we do. Stepped forward. Commander, I will not lie to you. What is about to do is extremely risky. If it fails, he could die. But if we do nothing, everyone dies. I trust his skills. I trust his judgment. You should too. Looked at the two humans. They were so small compared to most species, so soft, so fragile looking. But there was something in their eyes, something hard, something that had been forged in the fires of a... What do you need from me? He asked. His face lit up. Really, you are staying. Someone needs to document what happens, for the next safety manual. Laughed again. I like you, Commander. Okay, here is what I need. First, I need you to contact your engineering team. Tell them to shut down all power to sections 12 through 16. I need to redirect the emergency reserves to the cooling system. Pulled out his communicator. Are you there? There was static, then his rocky voice came through. Commander, you should be evacuating. Change of plans. I need you to shut down power to sections 12 through 16. But the manual says. The manual can wait. Do it now. There was a long pause. Then, yes, Commander. Nodded. Good. Second, I need someone to monitor the pressure levels. If they go above the red line, we have a problem. I can do that, said, moving to a control panel. Third, I need everyone else to stay far away. This is going to get loud. Relayed the message. The remaining crew members, the ones who had not made it to the escape pods yet, were ordered to stay at least 200 meters from the reactor room. Walked to the reactor. He put down his tools except for the welding torch. He climbed up the side of the massive machine, using pipes and handles as handholds. He moved like someone who had climbed many things before. What are you doing? Called up. There is a manual override panel at the top, said. If I can reach it, I can open the main cooling valve directly. The radiation levels at the top are dangerous. I know. You could suffer permanent damage to your body. I know. You could die. Looked down at him. His smile was gone now. His face was calm and focused. Commander, on my planet there is a saying. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. The same is true for fixing reactors. He continued climbing. Watched him from the control panel. Her face was tense, but her hands were steady. Pressure is at 70%, she reported, rising slowly. Reached the top of the reactor. The machine was so hot that the air around it rippled. Sweat poured down his face. His hands were red from touching the hot metal, but he did not stop. He found the override panel. It was covered in warning signs. The symbols were universal: skull and crossbones, radiation hazard, extreme danger. Ignored them all. I found it, he called down. The panel is locked. I need to cut it open. With the welding torch, asked, near the core. Yes. Is that safe? Paused. Commander, at this point nothing is safe, but this is the least unsafe option. He activated the welding torch. A bright blue flame shot out. He began cutting around the edge of the panel. Sparks flew everywhere. The metal glowed orange, then white. Pressure at 75%, reported. Her voice was slightly higher now. Hurry. Almost there. The panel fell away. Inside was a mess of wires, buttons, and switches. It looked impossibly complicated. Stared at it for a long moment. Do you know what to do? Asked. Not exactly, admitted, but I can figure it out. He began touching wires, following their paths with his fingers. He muttered to himself in his native language, words the translator could not understand. His hands moved faster and faster. Pressure at 80%. Grabbed a red wire and a green wire. These two, he said. If I connect them, it should bypass the damaged valve and open the backup cooling system. Should, repeated. There is a small chance it will cause a short circuit and make everything explode faster. How small? 20%, maybe 30%. Gripped the edge of the control panel. This was insane. This was completely insane. He was watching a human gamble with 3,000 lives based on a guess. But what choice did they have? Pressure at 85%, said. We are running out of time. Held the two wires. His hands were shaking slightly, not from fear, realized, from excitement. Here goes nothing, said. He connected the wires. For one terrible second, nothing happened. The reactor continued to whine. The pressure continued to rise. Closed all four of his eyes, waiting for the explosion. Then he heard it, a new sound, a rushing sound, the sound of coolant flowing through pipes. Pressure dropping, shouted, 80%, 75, 70. Let out a whoop of joy. He pumped his fist in the air. Yes, I knew it would work. But the celebration was premature. A loud crack echoed through the room. One of the old pipes, stressed by the sudden change in pressure, split open. Superheated coolant sprayed everywhere. And was right in its path. The green coolant hit like a wave. Watched in horror as the liquid sprayed across the human's body. The coolant was not as hot as plasma, but it was still dangerously warm. Steam rose from his jumpsuit. He lost his grip on the reactor and fell. For a moment, time seemed to slow down. Tumbled through the air, his arms reaching for something to grab. He was 10 meters above the ground. A fall from that height could kill any species. But was human. His hand caught a pipe. His body swung hard, slamming against the side of the reactor. The impact would have shattered the bones of just grunted. He hung there for a second, dangling by one arm, coolant dripping from his clothes. Then he started climbing back up. Shouted. She started running toward the reactor but grabbed her arm. The coolant is still spraying, he said. If you go near it, you will be injured too. I do not care, he is hurt. I am fine, called down. His voice was strained but strong. The pipe broke, I need to seal it. You just fell 10 meters and got hit by superheated liquid. Yes, and I am still alive. Now stop worrying and help me. Stop struggling, she took a deep breath. What do you need? The welding torch, I dropped it. Looked around. The welding torch was lying on the floor, still active. The blue flame was slowly melting a hole in the metal grating. He picked it up carefully. It was hot, even through his protective gloves. How do I get it to you? He asked. Throw it. What? Throw it to me. Stared up at the human. Had climbed back to the broken pipe. He was holding onto a support beam with one hand, his other hand stretched out. The coolant was still spraying past him, missing him by centimeters. If I miss, the torch could hit you, said. Then do not miss. Had never thrown anything before. His species did not throw things. They were builders, not throwers, but the human was right. There was no time for anything else. He gripped the torch tightly. He aimed its outstretched hand, he threw. The torch flew through the air. It spun end over end, flame trailing behind it like a comet. Time seemed to slow down again. Watched the torch rise, reach the peak of its arc and begin to fall. It was going to miss. It was going to fall short. Let go of the support beam. He pushed himself off the reactor, launching his body into the air. His free hand caught the torch. His other hand grabbed the broken pipe just before gravity could pull him down. The pipe bent under his weight but held. Got it, shouted, pressure status. Ran back to the control panel. 55% and holding. The backup cooling system is working, but we are losing coolant through the broken pipe. I know, give me 30 seconds. Pulled himself up onto the pipe. He was straddling it now, his legs wrapped around the metal like he was riding a beast. The spray of coolant was hitting his legs, but he ignored it. He aimed the welding torch at the crack. Be careful, called. If you seal the pipe wrong, the pressure could cause another break. I know what I am doing. Blue fire met metal. Sparks flew in every direction. Moved the torch slowly, carefully, following the crack from one end to the other. His hands were steady despite everything. Watched in amazement. How could any creature stay so calm in such a situation? Was injured, exhausted, and in constant danger. Yet he worked as if he was sitting in a quiet workshop, fixing a simple machine. This was what made humans terrifying, not their strength, not their healing ability, their absolute refusal to accept defeat. The spray of coolant began to weaken. The crack was closing. Adjusted the flame, focusing on the last few centimeters. His face was twisted with concentration. Almost. The coolant stopped spraying. The pipe was sealed. Done, shouted. But he did not celebrate this time. He was already climbing again, moving toward another part of the reactor. Where are you going? Called. The bypass I created is not stable. The wires I connected were not meant for that much current. They will burn out in about 20 minutes. What happens then? Everything explodes again. Felt his brief moment of hope disappear. So we are back where we started. No, now I know how the system works. I just need to create a better bypass, one that will last. Disappeared into a maintenance shaft. His voice echoed out, slightly muffled. Talk to me. What is the core temperature? Checked her readings. Core temperature is stable. Pressure is at 48%. Good, keep monitoring. Tell me if anything changes. Walked over too. His legs felt weak. He had been running on fear for so long that his body was starting to give out. Will he succeed? Did not look away from her screen. He has not failed yet. That is not a yes. No, it is not. They waited. Minutes passed. The reactor continued to hum, but the whining sound was gone now. The emergency lights still flashed, but less urgently. Somewhere in the distance could hear the sounds of the station. Air moving through vents, machines doing their jobs, life continuing. His voice came through the maintenance shaft. I found the main junction. The wires here are completely melted. It is a miracle the whole thing did not explode months ago. Can you fix it? Asked. Yes, I need new wires. There should be a supply closet in the next room. Looked at, I will go. He ran out of the reactor room. The supply closet was exactly where said it would be. Inside, he found rows and rows of equipment. Wires, pipes, tools, replacement parts, everything a station might need. He grabbed a bundle of heavy-duty wires and ran back. Throw them up, his voice called from somewhere inside the reactor. Through the wires, he was getting better at throwing. The bundle flew up and disappeared into the maintenance shaft. Got them, now comes the hard part. What is the hard part? Asked, dreading the answer. I have to disconnect the temporary bypass, replace the burned wires, and reconnect everything before the core overheats. I have about 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 2 minutes and 50 seconds now. Stop talking. Silence fell over the reactor room, and watched the control panel. The pressure reading held steady. The temperature reading began to climb. Core temperature rising, reported. 102% of normal, 105, 108. Almost there, shouted. 112, 115. Gripped the edge of the panel again. His claws left scratches in the metal. How high can it go before we have a problem? 150 is the danger zone. 175 and the core melts down. 120, continued. 125, 130. I shouted. I know, one more connection. The temperature kept rising. 135, 140. The reactor began to shake. A deep rumbling sound filled the room. 145, said. Her voice was barely a whisper. 150. Dunn screamed. The temperature stopped rising. For one terrible second it held at 150. Then it began to drop. 148, 145, 140. The rumbling stopped. The reactor stabilized. The blue glow became even and steady. Climbed out of the maintenance shaft. He was covered in burns, cuts, and green coolant stains. His jumpsuit was torn in 5 places. His hair was singed. He looked like he had just fought a battle. He was smiling. Fixed it, he said. You are welcome. Then he fell off the reactor. Caught him, or rather she broke his fall. They both tumbled to the ground in a heap of tangled limbs, but they were both alive. They were both breathing. Stood over them, looking down at the 2 humans. He did not know what to say. He had just watched a single person save 3,000 lives through sheer stubbornness and insanity. Is he okay? He finally asked. Was checking injuries. 2nd-degree burns on his hands and legs, possible fracture in his left arm, multiple bruises and cuts. He will live. I feel great, mumbled. His eyes were closed, but he was still smiling. Did anyone record that? That was amazing. You are insane, said. You love it. I do not. You do. Step back, he pulled out his communicator. Attention all personnel. This is Commander. The reactor has been repaired. The station is safe. You may return to your stations. He looked down at the humans again. And someone please send a medical team to Reactor Room 1. Our guests need assistance. Opened one eye. I do not need assistance, I just need coffee. You need a hospital. Coffee is basically the same thing. Sighed. This is why I keep the first aid kit nearby. Watched them argue. It was strange. They had just survived something that would have killed most beings in the galaxy, and they were acting like it was just another day at work. Maybe for them it was. 3 days later, Commander stood outside the medical bay. The door was closed, but he could hear voices inside. Human voices, laughing. He still could not understand how they could laugh after what happened. The door opened. Floated out, her tentacles wrapped around a medical. She saw and stopped. Commander, she said, I was just coming to find you. How is he? Made a sound that might have been disbelief. He is already trying to leave. I told him he needs at least 2 more days of rest. He said he has things to do. Things to do? He wants to check the reactor again. He says he noticed some other problems while he was inside. Minor issues, he called them. Things that could wait but should not. Shook his head slowly. Humans are truly strange. That is not the word I would use, said. I spent 3 hours treating his injuries. 2nd-degree burns across 40% of his body, a fractured arm, bruises that would have killed, cuts that needed 32 stitches. Do you know what he said when I told him the list? What? He said he has had worse. He said once a machine fell on him and broke both his legs, and he still finished the repair before he went to the hospital. Did not know what to say. He had read the reports about humans. He had studied their biology, their history, their psychology, but reading about something and seeing it were two very different things. "May I go in?" he asked. "Of course. Just do not let him convince you to discharge him early. He is very persuasive." Entered the medical bay. It was a large room filled with beds, each one designed for a different species. Most were empty. In the far corner, sitting upright on a human-sized bed, was. He looked terrible. His arms were covered in bandages. His face had several healing cuts. There was a brace on his left arm, but he was awake, alert, and drinking something from a metal cup. Sat in a chair beside him. She looked much better than, though she had dark circles under her eyes. She had not slept much in the past 3 days. "Commander," said when he saw, "come in, sit down. They gave me something called space coffee. It is terrible, want some?" Pulled up a chair. "How are you feeling?" "Like I fell off a reactor, got hit by superheated coolant, and had to rewire an entire cooling system with my bare hands." Grinned. "So pretty normal, actually." "You saved us. You saved everyone on the station." His grin faded slightly. He looked down at his coffee. "I was just doing my job." "Your job almost killed you." "Almost does not count." Put her hand on shoulder. "He does not like praise. It makes him uncomfortable." "I do not dislike it," said. Look, I did what anyone would have done." Thought about that. Would anyone have done what did? He remembered the panic in the reactor room. He remembered his crew running for the escape pods. He remembered screaming, "Evacuate," at the top of his lungs. No, not anyone would have done what did. Only a human. "I have something for you," said. He pulled out a small box. Inside was a medal. It was circular, made of silver, with the symbol of the Galactic Union in the center. Around the edge were words in 12 different languages. "This is the Union Medal of Exceptional Service," said. "It is the highest honor the Galactic Union can give to a civilian. You saved 3,000 lives. You deserve this." Stared at the medal. For the first time since had met him, the human seemed speechless. Leaned over to look. "That is beautiful." I do not know what to say," managed. "You do not have to say anything, just take it." Reached out with his good hand and took the box. He looked at the medal for a long moment. Then he closed the box and set it on the table beside his bed. "Thank you, Commander. This means a lot." Nodded. He started to stand, then paused. "There is one more thing." "Yes." "I have to update the safety manual." Laughed. "Right, Rule 5, watch this. Are you going to make it even more scary?" "Actually, no," pulled out his. "I am adding a new section. It is called Exceptions to Rule 5. Raised an eyebrow. "Exceptions." Read from the. Exception 1. If the human saying, "Watch this," is a certified engineer with at least 5 years of experience, the evacuation order may be delayed by 10 minutes to assess the situation. Smiled. "That is actually reasonable." Exception 2. If the human has already demonstrated competence in the current crisis, crew members may choose to remain and assist rather than evacuate. Nodded slowly. "I like that one." Exception 3. If evacuation is impossible or would result in greater harm, the rule may be suspended entirely. "Makes sense," said. Put down the rule still exists. We will still teach it to every new crew member. But I understand now that not all humans are the same. Some humans say, "Watch this," and cause disasters. Other humans say, "Watch this," and save lives. He looked at directly. "You are the second kind." Did not say anything for a moment. Then he lifted his cup of terrible space coffee. "To not causing disasters." Lifted an imaginary cup. "To saving lives." Did not have a cup, but he nodded his head in the human way. "To survival." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The medical bay was quiet. Outside, the station continued its slow spin through space. 3,000 lives going about their daily business, most of them not knowing how close they had come to death. So, said eventually, about those other problems I noticed in the reactor. Groaned, you just got out of surgery. It was not surgery, it was aggressive first aid. You had metal removed from your leg. A small piece of metal. Held up his hand. You are not going anywhere near that reactor for at least 1 week. That is an order. Opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. Fine, 1 week, but after that I want full access. There are at least 7 systems in there that are older than I am. They need to be replaced. I will arrange it. Leaned back on his bed. He was smiling again, that strange human smile that seemed to appear in the most unexpected moments. You know, Commander, this station is not bad. A little old, a little worn out, but it has good bones. With some work, it could last another 100 years. Felt something he had not felt since the humans arrived. Hope, you think so? I know so, and I could stay for a few months, help you update everything, make this station the best in the sector. Looked at with surprise, we could. Why not? The food is decent, the crew is friendly, and nobody tried to kill us. The reactor tried to kill you. The reactor was just misunderstood. It needed love and attention, and new wires. Considered the offer. Having humans on the station permanently would be challenging. They would cause problems. They would break rules. They would probably say, watch this at least a dozen more times. But they would also fix things. They would improve things. They would keep everyone safe. I will speak with the union, said. I believe they will approve. Smile grew wider. Excellent, this is going to be fun. Stood up, he had work to do, reports to file, messages to send, a safety manual to update. At the door, he paused and looked back. One last thing. Yes. The next time you are about to do something dangerous and insane, could you please use different words? Something that will not cause a station-wide panic. Thought about it. How about hold my coffee? Sighed, humans were impossible. But they were also remarkable. He left the medical bay and walked back to his office. Outside his window, the stars continued to shine. Somewhere out there were other stations, other ships, other worlds, all of them spinning through the vast darkness of space. And on every single one, there was probably a human saying, watch this. The galaxy was a strange place, but somehow thought that was what made it beautiful. He sat down at his desk and began updating the safety manual. At the top of the page, he added a new title, Living with Humans, a Practical Guide. He had a feeling it was going to be a very long document.